The BMW 3 Series has long been the benchmark in the premium entry-level market, providing the best all-round package of power, handling, and refinement. And the most powerful version of that class leader has always been the M3. This is the BMW M3 Sedan, the first time we've seen an M3 Sedan in years. Don't worry, there's still an M3 convertible and coupe available. BMW has a bit of a problem. They used to have kind of this market to themselves. Now there's way more competition. There's the hot Mercedes C63. Audi has the S4 and the S5, and Lexus is even in the game now with the ISF. BMW also has some competition inside the family. More on that in a second. The new M3 has all the right bulges in all the right places. The front has aggressive styling from the bigger spoiler, flared fenders, side vents, and a swollen hood. The M3 Coupe gets a carbon fiber hood, but not the sedan. The rear styling continues the aggressive trend with a chunky rear bumper and 4 chrome exhaust tips. The multi-spoke 19-inch wheels finish off the I mean business look. BMW must have realized that Audi has had quite a bit of success with the S4, so they've come back with the M3 Sedan, and it makes sense. This is a car that you can use for daily chores, shuttling kids around, but also have a lot of fun when you drive it solo. The trunk's a pretty good size, the back seats split and fold down, and there's even a ski pass-through in there. The interior is not too different from the regular sedan. The sport seats are amazingly supportive and comfortable. The dash is built with the finest materials and put together with loving care. The iDrive, which is called M-Drive in this car, is thankfully optional. I do like the fact that satellite radio and iPod interface are available as an option on all 3 series. The BMW M3 starts at $69,900, which is kind of on par with the Audi S4. But it's more expensive than the Lexus ISF at $64,400, and the real value car in the equation is the Mercedes C63. That car starts at $63,500. This M3 is also competing against much cheaper cars in the BMW lineup. More on that in a second. Now, the M3 has bulked up. It's gone from an inline 6-cylinder engine to a 4-liter V8 engine. And when you start it up, you're welcomed by a beautiful symphony of mechanical sound. Now, that sounds good. Now, the thing is with this M3, when it's cold, first thing in the morning and you drive away, the car can be a little bit jerky. It kind of goes like this. But it goes away after a little while, after the car warms up. But first thing in the morning, the drivability is awful. It kind of reminds me of the old M3 with the terrible SMG transmission that they put in that car. Thankfully, the SMG transmission has been dropped for this M3. The V8 is rated at 414 horsepower and the torque is 295 pound-feet. The problem with this engine is that all of the power and all of the torque comes from the mid to high rev range, which means you have to have your foot well planted in this car. Maximum horsepower comes right at the red line, and peak torque comes at around 4,000 RPM. So below that, when you're starting out, the low-end torque seems a little bit, dare I say, sluggish. This car is great if you're driving it flat out, great for somebody that goes to the track, but for everyday use, the power in this engine isn't as usable. The Audi S4 in comparison has less horsepower but more torque at lower RPM. That gives the impression of more grunt. The Lexus ISF has 416 horsepower and 371 pound-feet of torque. The real champ in the stump-pulling category is the cheaper Mercedes C63 with a stunning 451 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. Look for our review of the C63 coming soon. The problem BMW has with the M3 is themselves. This is the BMW 335. It looks just as good. It has a more compliant suspension. It'll probably appeal to a wider market. Here's the great thing, it's cheaper than the M3, and it has a wonderful engine under the hood that in many ways competes with the engine in the M3. It's when you get a chance to drive the M3 and the 335 back-to-back that you realize that the 335 has much more everyday usable power. You see, the 300 pound-feet of torque that the turbo 335 produces comes on at an amazingly low 1400 RPM. For most drivers, this is what impresses most, torque. The high revving flat-out power of the M3 engine will be lost on most people. Another thing to keep in mind, the 335 has more power than the outgoing M3. Not only are performance sedans powerful, they have all of these electronic goodies in there as well. There's a button on the steering wheel that says M, not just for more money, but also for more power. Actually, what it does is it changes the throttle mapping so you get more response out of the engine quicker. There's buttons in the center here that change the dynamic chassis as well. And what that does is it makes the car very lively. Now the thing is, a car like this, years ago, would have rattled your teeth out. But a modern M3 is actually not that bad when you drive it in a sedate manner. It's fairly comfortable. That's why it's good as a daily driver. But when you throw this thing into the corners, it's an out-and-out performance machine with amazing grip. Today's modern performance sedans really are marvels of engineering. The problem is that many of the advancements that have been made to regular road sedans and coupes and convertibles is that those cars have just as much performance as the performance models did just a few years ago. This M3 is a great car. It's got a wonderful engine. It looks all the business. It drives beautifully. But there's way more competition in this segment of the marketplace. And that 335 from BMW is no slouch. It's a lot cheaper. And for many people, that car will provide almost as much performance and spiritedness at a price tag that's a lot less. So much so that I ordered one myself.
For complete specs, go to our website at drivingtelevision.com.